In today's episode, I'll show you how I make these little benches and chairs for use in our tabletop tavern. So for today's episode, we're going to use a couple of easy to find and low cost materials, and that's going to be a popsicle stick or craft stick, a couple of coffee sticks, and a couple of toothpicks. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started making some benches. So these are really easy to put together. I'm going to use a craft stick, and I've marked out a couple of lengths on here. These are 1 centimeter or 10 millimeters in length. We're going to need 2 of these per bench, so I marked out a bunch of others so that I can make some more off camera. And then on the coffee stick, we've got this marked out. These are 3 separate pieces at 2 different lengths. The long ones are 37 millimeters or 1.5 inches, and the shorter one is 30 millimeters or 1.125 inches. So using the small one first, we're going to mark out an angle. I'm using my cutting mat here to mark out a 30-degree angle on both edges. These are going to be trimmed, and this is going to be kind of a little support beam going across the bottom of the bench. Now you can use whatever angle you like. I'm just using 30 degrees because I have a quick and easy reference for it. So moving our little debris off to the side, we're going to take our 1 centimeter craft sticks and just kind of glue them onto the support stick. Now, I'm lining these up to be center and flush with one edge of the stick. Now this is going to create a kind of little gap between the actual bench and the rest of the support and legs, but we're going to address that in a step or two. Alright, so while that's drying, let's go ahead and make the seat of the bench. And to do that, we're going to take the 2 longer pieces and with a fairly thin strip of wood glue, we're going to just kind of match them together and just kind of let the glue dry and make it a slightly wider piece. Now, I'm doing this with coffee sticks because I like the grain structure that the sticks have. If you don't want to do this, you can use something like a popsicle stick or a tongue depressor. The key is you want the bench to be a little bit wider than the legs and the support underneath, just to kind of give it that, bench look that you see in old movies and medieval kind of settings. Alright, so now that the bench seat is dry and our legs are dry, we need to kind of trim down the edges so that we don't have this annoying little gap that would be very difficult to kind of glue everything together with. So what you can do is very carefully with a craft knife or hobby blade shave this down, but that can get very dangerous and a little tricky to do. So what I like to do is using a nail file or an emery board, just kind of set everything down and very carefully so that you don't break everything apart, sand it down until everything is nice and even. Alright, so now that that's been sanded flush, we can attach our bench seat. But I want to add just kind of a little bevel and cut to this, so we're going to do a rough cut of a 45-degree angle on all 4 corners. And I can also take this time to even out the planks to make sure everything is relatively even and doesn't look too janky or cobbled together. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Now we can attach this to our legs of the bench, and that's going to be just a quick little line of wood glue, and then very carefully stick it as centered as you can on the seat. And then we'll set that off to the side and let that fully dry. We can wipe off any extra glue, and it'll be a nice solid bench once it's dry. Okay, so now let's move on to some chairs. Alright, so I cut our toothpick off camera. We have two pieces that are cut to 8 millimeters in length. These are going to be for the sides of the seat. We've got two pieces that are cut to 10 millimeters. Those are going to be the front legs. And the last two are cut to 25 millimeters, and these are going to be the back legs and back support. And our craft stick here has been cut to 12 millimeters to accommodate for the extra length of the toothpicks. And then I'm going to use a Jenga piece just kind of as a jig to make sure everything is straight and even when we start gluing everything together. So to start off, I'm going to make the actual backrest and the seat of the chair, and I'm going to do that by taking a small amount of glue and just kind of gluing our two craft sticks into a L shape, and then using the Jenga block, I'm going to just kind of make sure everything is at the correct angle. I want it to be as straight and even as possible. So once that's done, we need to start by gluing on our back legs. Now to do this, I want everything to maintain a specific distance and length of leg. So we're going to take our 8 millimeter cut piece and then use that to kind of line up our legs on the back of the chair to make sure that they're all the same length. And as you can see, this should line up the bottom of the seat with the 10 millimeter piece for the front leg. So repeating the process on the other side, we apply a little bit of glue and just kind of hold everything together for a minute or so to kind of make sure everything tacks together and isn't going to fall apart. And a quick check to make sure everything is the proper length, and we can move on to starting to attach our other supports. Alright, once that's done and dried a little bit, you should have something that resembles a little bit like this. So now to attach our side support, we're just going to repeat the process by attaching a 8 millimeter length to the side of the bottom of the seat, and then repeat on the other side. This is going to give a lot more to kind of grab onto with the front legs. Trying to do it without this makes the front legs very, very unstable, and they just do not want to hold on that well. This will give them a lot more to grab onto with the glue and just kind of make a lot more stable chair. So as I'm attaching the front leg here, I'm going to set it down on the cutting mat and make sure it stays stationary long enough for the glue to set before attaching the final leg. This will make sure everything stays even and is the correct length. That way we don't have wobbly chairs. And once the last leg is attached, I can take these out and give them a spray prime. So once again, using the flat brown camo paint, I'm going to then follow it up with a simple dry brush of some raw sienna to give it that kind of wood appearance and accentuate the wood grain of all the craft sticks and coffee sticks. Now I'm going to stop here with the paint and not give them a weathered appearance because I don't really think they need them, but you can definitely use a warm gray or a tan to kind of give these a more weathered and beat up appearance. But all in all, I think they're a great little addition to have, and they look pretty nice once they're set up on the table. So these make great additions to a tavern or just kind of like a guard post setting. You can use them in a lot of different improvised combats and kind of have them thrown around, stuff like that. They really just help fill out a scene. And now, I think it's time for some narrative. Your investigation leads you to a small tavern in the Docks District. In recent weeks, there have been a growing number of people disappearing in the area, and all signs point here to the Rusty Spoon. You enter with caution, as rumors suggest it to be a cannibal cult safe house. As the patrons stand, their faces dripping with blood and weapons drawn, you fear the rumors to be correct. Roll for initiative. Tune in next week where I show you how I make these food platters for our Tabletop Tavern. Alright, thank you all for watching. Please hit that like button, subscribe for future content, comment in the comments section, and we will see everyone next episode.